Hey everybody, my name is Joey and today we'll be broiling strip steaks in the oven. Broiling is an easy way to make awesome steaks indoors, so follow me to Tasty Town. Broiling is an easy way to make great tasting steaks indoors, and it's a commonly used method at many restaurants across the country. It's so easy, anyone can do it right at home because everyone has an oven. There are a few tips and tricks to follow, but before we get started, let's take a look at what we're cooking. Today, we'll be making strip steaks, which is a cut easily found in many restaurants and grocers throughout the United States. However, the strip steak has many different names or aliases, including the New York strip steak, the Kansas City steak, the Kansas City strip steak, the Manhattan steak, the shell steak, the hotel cut steak, and the lesser known ambassador steak. It's a little bit confusing when the same cut of meat has 7 different names. You may remember the strip steak from our porterhouse video. As you'll recall, the strip steak comprises one side of the porterhouse or the T-bone steak. This side right here, it has the wider top and tapers to a smaller end. It's an incredibly flavorful and tender steak. It can be served either boneless, as shown right here, or bone in by removing one side of this T-shaped bone right over here. Now, before we get cooking, there are a couple other tips to remember generally about cooking steak. The first is the grade. Beef comes in 3 grades: prime, choice, and select. Simply put, make it either choice or prime, or don't waste your time. And remember, the higher the grade of the beef, the more tender and flavorful steak you'll end up with. The second is rest. I know I say it every video, but you need to let your steak rest for at least 20 or 30 minutes at room temperature prior to cooking it. The reason that we do this is allow the steak to come closer to room temperature to promote more even cooking, which will allow for more consistent and predictable results. And the third is seasoning. You can really season your steak with whatever you'd like, but today we're going to be using a little bit of olive oil, some kosher salt, and some coarse ground pepper. Now there are a couple things to remember before we start broiling, and the first is you're going to want to use the right pan. You can really use a cast iron skillet or a broiling pan as shown here. I would avoid using any glass pan for broiling, as I don't know if it will hold up to the high heat. But again, we're going to use a broiling pan. It's right here. It's commonly found in the warming drawer of your oven. It includes a top that has slits in it, and then a bottom which we've lined with foil to make for an easy cleanup. The other thing that you're going to want to remember to do is to slit the fat on your steak, just like this. And the reason that we score the fat just a little bit, that will prevent it from curling up as it broils. And you're just going to want to do this on both sides of the steak. Doesn't have to be too deep, just surface level on that fat. Again, helps to prevent it from curling up. The other tip that you want to remember to do is to make sure that your steak is the right distance from the broiler. The broiler is found at the top of the oven, and you want your steak to sit no more than about 4 or 5 inches from the broiler itself. You may need to adjust your oven shelf height, and I would always suggest that you test the height prior to cooking. As another tip or trick, what I like to do is I always like to leave my oven about 1/4 of the way open to allow that heat to escape and to make sure that the steak's only heat source is coming from directly above on the broilers. While this is preheating, follow me and let's season the steak. Now we're going to go ahead and put this in right underneath the broiler. Remember, this is hot, so be careful. We're going to leave it in here for about 3 to 4 minutes and then pull it out and flip it so the other side can cook. This steak has been cooking on the flip side for about 3 minutes, or it's been in there for 7 minutes total. So we're going to remove it and check its temperature now. I prefer to use the field method because I've been cooking steaks for a long time and I can tell that that's perfectly cooked. If you're not familiar with the field method, you can never go wrong with an instant read thermometer. And as they rest here for about 5 minutes, the internal temperature will increase another 5 or 10 degrees. This steak has been resting for about 5 minutes now, so let's cut it open. Take a look inside. Look at that. As you can see by the color of the steak, we have a perfectly cooked medium rare steak. Look at that great color right there. As I said earlier, broiling is an easy way to make great tasting steaks right in your own kitchen. This broiling pan can fit up to 4 large steaks, so you can even cook for a crowd. Our motto at Red Meat Lover, as we've said before, is any cut of meat, any type of heat, which reflects our belief that there are many, many right ways to cook and prepare steaks. We'll still use our grill to make great tasting steaks, but the broiler is a wonderful alternative when we just don't feel like going outside to use the grill. If you like our video, please give us a thumbs up, like, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for more tasty steak videos. Really, we would love, love, love your feedback in the comments right below this video, or you can send them directly to me, Joey, at redmeatlover.com. And remember what Jack Handy once said, people say God lives inside you. I don't know if that's true, but if he does, I hope he likes steak because that's what he's getting. We'll see you next time.